Star Wars Ahsoka Episode 4 continues the tradition of some stupid stuff and some cool stuff. However, this episode totally stepped it up and brought in some really, really cool stuff that I think outweighs the dumb stuff. All right, so this is going to be my fast and dirty, spoilery review slash reaction of this episode. So there was a part where Sabine was getting ready to basically go out and do battle. Like she was putting on her Mandalorian armor and she was checking her guns and stuff. And then she couldn't find the power pack for one of her pistols. And she was like frantic looking for it. And I was just like, God, does Sabine get the jitters now? But my wife had a good point. Maybe it's because she's so nervous about this, like finding Ezra's on the line. So I guess now she has the jitters. But the fight scene when they come out of their ship and fight all the little random guard guys is really, really cool. And Ahsoka and Sabine just handle them all really fast, with Sabine using her Mandalorian armor tricks and Ahsoka just hacking people down. And it's cool to see Hu Yang like use some hand-to-hand combat. I think George Lucas would be proud of Dave Filoni on this part, or this episode, because there's a ton of Japanese film influence, especially in these fight scenes where she's holding her lightsaber like a samurai sword, and there's lots of cool, really slow like build up and then really quick moves, just like samurai sword fights. So I think Dave Filoni did George Lucas proud with the fighting in this episode. I love that the masked Inquisitor just gets killed super fast in the series. Like everyone online's been talking about like who he could be or whatever, and Ahsoka, like she does with Inquisitors, just totally destroys him. I thought that was really funny. Something I did not like was Ray Stevenson's character is like, I know about Anakin and I know what he became, and it's like, oh my gosh. Like that's one thing that Disney Star Wars does, as they keep adding more people that survive Order 66 and keep adding more people that know that Anakin is Darth Vader. It kind of starts to kill the mystique of it. So I think they're walking a really fine line of spoiling it by having too many Jedi survive and too many people know that Anakin became Vader, because that secret is a huge deal, that Vader kills people over all the time. All right, I love this guy's character. Boop. He's awesome. But I can't really blame it on Sabine, because I mostly blame it on the writers, and that means it's a bad event that took you out of the story. But so he's got Ahsoka pushed up basically on the edge of a cliff, and then Sabine comes around the corner and she's like, "Stop!" And she has a gun, and it's like, "Hello, shoot him in the back." Like, Sabine, you suck. Shoot him in the back. And she doesn't, so the plot can happen, and that's crappy writing. So this episode is frustrating because it has some of the coolest action so far, it has great acting, it has cool like plot events, like where Hera gets in the Ghost and gets the beardy guy, the beardy X-wing pilot from Mandalorian. So it's cool to see like the post Return of the Jedi era start to gain, like to fill out and start feeling like an actual galaxy. But my goodness, she's standing behind this guy. He's threatening Ahsoka at the edge of a cliff, and she's just like, "Stop!" What the heck? That takes the cake for the absolute dumbest part of this episode. All right, so this part was actually pretty cool. So the hyperdrive ring just goes to hyperspace around the Ghost and all these ships, and the reason it's kind of funny is because what's her name, Hera, actually did that to some Imperials. She went to hyperspace through a docking bay and basically killed everyone in the docking bay. This is something she did in Star Wars Rebels, which was amazing, and I love that. And now somebody's basically doing the same move to her, back to her, and a bunch of the X-Wings get destroyed. And I just thought it was kind of ironic that she's done this move to someone else, and now here's someone doing it to her. Also, look how cool that looks. But then, what's his name? Jason Syndulla, the child of Kanan and Hera, said the Star Wars line. He said, "Mom, I have a really bad feeling." All right, and then this episode goes and does something that is awesome. So this is the world between worlds introduced in Star Wars Rebels that I think is the coolest thing introduced into Star Wars since like the original movies. And everyone was long speculating that this series, the Ahsoka series, would use the world between worlds to kind of decanonize episode 7, 8, and 9. I don't know if that's going to happen. because I kind of think Dave Filoni might be a fan of those. I would love that to happen, but if it doesn't happen, here we are. Where is this the ghost of Anakin? Or did and actually, let me back up a little bit. They used really bad CG to make his face look younger, and which I don't think was necessary, because if he's a ghost, they could have him a little bit aged. But for whatever reason, they have him at his episode 3 age. So that could mean two things. One, it could just mean he's dead, and he's inhabiting this world between worlds, and he can talk to her. Or two, it can mean that somehow he got pulled into the world between worlds, and at that age, and is now going to do some time shifting multiverse shenanigans. So either way, the world between worlds is an absolutely huge deal for Star Wars. And I'm very excited to see where it goes. I think it's borderline a Deus Ex Machina, so it's something that they can just use to undo anything. But the thing is, it already exists in Ahsoka's history, where Ezra Bridger used the world between worlds to rescue her. So why is she here now? Like, did Ezra Bridger do this? Did Anakin do this? Like, why is she in the world between worlds? Because she would have had to been pulled into it. You can't just access the world between worlds. Like, there's only certain points there, and then, or someone that's in there has to use like a gateway to pull you in. So I'm very curious where they go with this. I'm very excited to see Hayden Christensen, because he's awesome as Anakin. So this episode is definitely my favorite so far. Despite the really stupid things that happened in it, there's way more cooler things that happen in it. So I like this episode. I like where the show's going. I'm excited to see, hopefully we get to see Ezra and Thrawn soon. Again, the dumbest parts were Sabine being kind of jittery. That was a little iffy. And then Sabine not shooting the guy in the back. Like, come on, that was so bad. That might be it. For the most part, it was a pretty good Star Wars-y episode. One thing that I thought during this World Between Worlds scene, and also during the end credits, when there's kind of like hieroglyph-looking artwork when it's showing the map spinning around, and I actually saw a Loth Wolf, which is something from Star Wars Rebels as well. And so I feel like with this show that it's really getting back to Star Wars being like about myths and legends and heroes and really cool deep things like Dave Filoni would do in the show. So I think we're going in the right direction, and I'm pretty excited to see where it goes. And I really hope they don't use bad CG on Anakin's face the whole time, unless I guess he's only here for a minute, but my goodness. Anyway, episode 4 was good. Excited to see where it goes. Let me know what you thought, and if you like these reviews. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.